Hello, and welcome to another episode of Stu and the Nut, an online radio show and podcast focused on national security, policy, politics, and selfless service. We're here to give you an honest opinion, a different perspective, and hopefully a few laughs. We do this by not only interviewing guests, but also sharing our own perspectives and asking you, the listener, to interact with us on our chat room, via our Facebook page, and of course, on Twitter. Keep it funky. Oh, yeah, baby. Keep it funky. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Stu and the Nun. Your one-man Stu here from the Up North studio in upstate New York, where it is a balmy 32 degrees, snow outside, sleet and rain. It's just nasty. Joined by my brother from another mother in the southern studio. What's up, Toby?
Well, what's up is our temperature gauge, because I live in Texas, because it's awesome. Unlike that cool playoff state that you come from, Buffalo. Oh, wait. Dallas didn't make it either. But, yeah, no. While you were shoveling snow today, I was doing one-wheel salutes on my Ducati, enjoying themselves and throwing a wheel up to my dad upstairs and having a good time.
Nice.
So, yeah, what's up with that?
No,
having a good old day.
That's quality time. Yeah, man. Glad we could be here tonight on this April 17th. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I see the chat room filling up and kicking it back here. A lot of our standard crew and fan base, and some new ones too. But before we get going too much, we got a great show tonight. Great guest, as I think every show is great, but sometimes they have a few technical issues, but they still turn out great. But we got some breaking news that just hit the wire right before we came on air. And just want to take a moment and recognize, if you haven't heard yet, because you were getting all amped up and ramped up to watch this show, Mrs. Barbara Bush, former First Lady, did just pass away. It was just announced a little bit ago that she just passed away a little bit. And I think if you've been watching the news the last couple of days, it was all over that she had refused medical care. She kind of did the hospice thing, I think, went back home. She wanted to be home and comfortable with her family and loved ones. And in fact, I even heard a report today. David Bellavia was on the air talking about that. Her spokesperson came out and said that last night she even had a sip of bourbon last night. So she was going out in style all the way, 100% class. So just a moment to what a great lady, class act as far as a first lady, and her daughter-in-law carried the torch on that as far as being a class act. And she did a great job and will be sorely missed for this country. So I don't know any perspective you have, Toby, but just want to say that.
So first and foremost, and I've said this a million times, and I'll continue to say it because I believe it to be the truth. The service member isn't the only person that serves. And we're talking about a lady that's life was dedicated to service. Not only was she the first lady of the nation, she was also the mother to a governor, to two governors. She was the mother to another president. She is the grandmother to some highly accomplished commissioners and directors within business as well as government and public policy. She was the wife to the cabinet member. She was wife to a vice president. She has seen the nation at every level, and for her to live under those complexities and to operate in that environment on such a regular basis and with such class. I mean, we saw the effect of her. I mean, Nancy Reagan, I think, is a wonderful example of a first lady. I would put her in the top five, up there with Eleanor Roosevelt. I'd put her up there with Lady Bird. Coming off of Nancy Reagan, those are big shoes to fill. Mrs. Bush did a wonderful job. She had wonderful initiatives. And she did it while being an amazing parent and matriarch to a huge family. And, you can say all you want about the Bushes, but I mean, everything that you can say about them stops when it comes to her. She gave a lifetime of service to this nation. I look forward to seeing how the nation honors her because I believe that she deserves to be nationally honored. Um, I look forward to hearing the words of her family members, the words of world leaders, as not only a nation I think is celebrating her life. I think there's countries across the globe that can celebrate her life because the impact that she made on them. And she's an impressive lady, and I think a lot of people, and we're seeing it right now with the current administration. People are dogging out the first ladies. Um, the last administration's first lady had some good initiatives, poor execution on them, and some failures, and kind of came off in a divisive way. Um, and it's tough to be in that role, and to look at someone that handled it with such grace. I would put her in the top three first ladies of all time.
Yep.
I would. I'd put her up there with Eleanor Roosevelt. I absolutely would. So I'd put her in the top three.
Yeah. And and our president just a nice positive tweet just put out that him and the first lady joining the nation celebrating her life, and it's nice to see him using that media and that outlet for a lot of reasons, and then that was a good one to call attention and honor that. But yeah, so breaking news.
And one last
Go
thought.
Go ahead.
She had a bourbon last night, which makes her straight HAWT hot. She was like, I don't care how old she is. She's like, that's an American woman.
Yeah.
That's what like Jimi Hendrix was writing songs about. That's what he's toasting. If you're going out, you're like, and mark my words, if I end up in hospice, you better show up with a decent bottle.
Yeah.
A decent bottle. Don't come with some sorry ass. Come with a good bottle.
No.
And
none of that
let's have a moment like Doc Holliday and Wyatt Earp, and let's have a bourbon.
That's you can put that on my last will and testament too, brother. None of that military special bottom shelf class 6 plastic 1.75 liter stuff. None of that. Don't even bring Jim Beam. Don't even. It better. It's got to be up there. Small batch preferred, hand numbered. Just saying, would be nice.
Yeah, and it'll be awkward because there'll be ladies in the room and they'll be saying things like, "What a good guy," and he was such a gift to America, and I'm gonna be like, "Yeah, dude, sit up, we gotta do this."
Even if I gotta put a straw in your mouth, that's what I'll do.
Drink this.
Just drink this.
Put it in your mouth and drink this.
If we gotta mainline it in that IV, I mean, whatever it takes, dude. Whatever it takes.
If that's what ends me, America.
America. Yeah. Well, anyways, speaking of America, American bourbon, and want to thank our sponsor. You can see it right above our between Toby and I, and Listen 9 Fight Company. You can also see it on. Oh, I'm sorry for putting so much gun in front of the camera, but American flag this side. But Listen 9 Fight Company, Colton and the crew, want to thank them for, as always, sponsoring this show and being part of it. We love Colton, everything he's doing, and all that good stuff. So with that said, can't forget them and all the great charities support, which we'll probably cover, but want to highlight that. And again, welcome everyone to the show as we get cranked up here. So Toby, you want to kind of talk a little bit about our guest tonight and introduce her, and then I'll bring her on the air if you'd like.
Yeah, let me introduce this American warfighter. So we're just gonna call her Sarah Lee, and she's been on the show before.
That's not a code name. That's not a code name.
It's not a code name. FYI,
she's not
it's
bacon.
Not this is me. I want to talk to codename Sarah Lee. Yeah. No, you're actually going to talk to the Sarah Lee actual, and she was a hardworking Army veteran. She was in Tikrit the same time that I was a little bit north of her, slinging some lead up there in the Mosul area, and she's come back and she's done some pretty impressive things. Just some highlight, determined she is. she starts riding a bike, and then she's like, 25, 30 minutes into riding that bike, maybe, 6 miles into riding a bike. She's like, this is no big deal. I think I'm going to ride across the country. I think I'm just going to ride around the block. No, that's not ambitious enough. I'm going to do the continent. I'm going to hit the nation. So her and a Marine headed out last year. They started in Virginia, and they worked their way across. Unfortunately, in the thriving metropolis of Westcliff, Colorado, a town where, little known fact, Randy Couture has a private training camp, and that's where Chad Robichaux and I used to go up and do his fight camps. She was run off the road and injured. In addition to the injuries that she sustained throughout her military career and life, this was a pretty debilitating knee injury, and she had to abandon the trip at that point in time. She's been back in the Nashville, Tennessee area, where she runs an extremely successful photography company as well as graphic arts company. And I will be demonstrating some of her amazing graphic artwork here in a little bit. But she has been training. She is the epitome of the fellowship, the fraternity, sorority, fellowship of the military, because she's had former battle buddies travel for hours to drive down and train her for 2 weeks. She's got a trainer that is also a military veteran, former military member, that's putting her through the one-legged squats and making her do those burpees and things. She does it all. I'm one of her biggest fans, and let's bring her back. Bring her back.
There we go. Here we go. So I want to welcome to the show Miss Sarah Lee. Hello, Sarah. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Good. We see you have a special guest with you tonight. This is like the bonus night. Not only do we have Sarah, who do you have with you tonight?
This is his name is Stephen Beck. Do you want me to introduce you? Yay, I would love to. This is Stephen Beck. He's the founder of a nonprofit out of Kansas City, Kansas, Leavenworth area called A Ride for the Wounded.
Hey, Stephen, how you doing? Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
We've already behind the scenes been busting Stephen's chops, and the way he handled it, we know that he's legit. We're busting his chops by reminding him that it's Tuesday and he's got his Friday shirt on. But
I wear it every day.
That's a good thing, because every day we got people deployed, not just on Fridays. And especially in the recent weeks, we've seen some hardworking things done. Big shout out to Team Awesomeness from Austin, Texas. Tim Kennedy, who's currently deployed doing God's work over in Africa, as well as our other friends that are in Syria, Libya, and everywhere else that they're at. So big shout out to that. But Steve, welcome to the show. Sarah?
Yes.
Lots has happened since our last visit.
Yes. So much. All
right. So let's
start.
Let's start with acronyms.
Okay.
Let's play the acronym game.
Okay.
And the first acronym
EAA. Everything's an acronym.
Yes. All right, let's play the acronym game. And the very first acronym that I want to play is MRI. Go.
Yes. Let's play the MRI game. Round one, fight, which is what I'm definitely doing. My MRI came back. There's no torn, full. There was partial tearing and micro tearing with PCL, posterior. They recommended no surgery. So that the healing process, took day off, 5 weeks, which I did. But I stayed off it. Surgery's not going to have to happen, and it has healed.
Toby, can you hear her okay? I got some broken
audio.
audio.
Yeah, a little bit. So, the highlight of that, for our listening audience is we're getting to avoid surgery.
Yes.
because that surgery would have been a major setback in terms of this ride. Uh, and so you've been training.
Yes.
Walk us through this training program.
Okay. Well, do you want me to talk
Or
about
do we have to run in place while you explain it?
Well, just side straddle hops for now, I think. There we go. Till I get tired. You guys outrank me by like 5 ranks. Stop it. No, well, I had a friend visit recently, and we went through a lot of muscle building, because I really had lost a lot of muscle, if not all of it, being off my knee for so long. And having that muscle to support the joints and ligaments is pretty much the most important factor there. So we did a lot of strength training. I rode my bike with just no pain at all. I was very relieved because, when I was back in Colorado in September or late August, I tried to ride about a mile and it swelled up on me. So it's been a huge monster getting back on the bike, and I did, and there's no pain. I did an unweighted ride, a weighted ride, 10, 20 miles at this point. I mean, just no issues with the knee. So I'm really excited. I have no doubts that I'll be able to not only continue but complete the journey at this point. So I'm really excited and relieved.
So explain to our listening audience what you mean by unweighted and weighted ride and the significance of that.
Yes. Well, an unweighted ride is just the bicycle. And what I'm doing is my journey is unsupported cross-country cycling journey. Everything that I need is on the bike. There's no vehicle following me. There's no help whatsoever. I weighted, I basically need gear. So it's my camping, cooking, hygiene, maintenance, food, and so it really adds up. So there's a huge difference. Not only, especially the bike itself is steel frame. I'm 5'10", so and so
you're tall. You're telling our listening audience that you're tall.
and yes, and a good sized build. I mean, I'm not petite, so I needed a good strong bike. The bike itself is about 32 pounds, and I have my gear down to about 30 pounds. I started at 65 pounds, and after I hit the Appalachian Mountains, I was just throwing stuff off my bike. I was like, no.
Littering's a crime.
I gotta jump in. That reminds me. That reminds me of the first time a dude goes down range like in Afghanistan and starts humping those mountains, and he has all that cool guy gear on from the PX and everything. Yeah. And once he starts doing 8,000-9,000 feet, he's like, that stuff's flying off. Like, all I need is ammo and water, and all this other cool guy stuff can go into the box.
Yeah, I mean, you can keep the licorice because it's hollow.
Yes.
So it's basically air. So licorice can always stay in the rucksack.
And you can use it as a straw if you ever need to.
Yes. See, that's why you're smarter than we are.
That's not true at all. But I love you for it.
Hey, so you're basically famous now. You've been doing a bunch of speaking engagements. You've partnered with Steven there, and I mean, even in our chat room, I'm looking at one of our chat rooms. Which one's this? This is our Facebook chat room, and you got Zachary Michael.
Yes.
And he's calling you a badass. I think he's threatened by you.
It's better than what he usually calls me.
But no, he's like, so proud of you, proud to have known you for so long. I think anyone that knows you, has met you, feels that way. I mean, you are just one dedicated individual. And here you are, you get run off the road by a truck and a trailer. You eat a little bit of that West Cliff lava dirt, that dust from the Sangre de Cristos. You hang out, you try and make a go of it. Now you're back, you do the VA, you go through, and you've had a fairly good VA experience. Fairly good, right?
Fairly good.
And you got battle buddies driving hours to come down for weeks to be a drill sergeant in your life, to make you mow that grass. So you had basically you had the American buff version of Mr. Miyagi come to your house.
It was intense. and I needed it bad.
He was like,
Yeah.
"Hold the grass."
He's 6'6", 260 plus. I mean, shred. I mean, I didn't stand a chance. But I came out on the
No
other
grass,
end.
do burpee.
Yeah, I was like, I had so many nicknames for him. It's hilarious. But I came out on the other side, just re-driven. It just put wind right back in my sails. It's exactly what I needed. I had a feeling good call, and it was. He made a huge difference for me. I have a face back, my back, Eddie.
All right. So when is the bike and you being shipped to Colorado?
The plan is I'm leaving for Colorado on May 18th. Like days in advance. There's a bike shop there called Great Divide Hike and Bike. Owner Lee, I became friends with him while I was healing up. He's gonna reassemble my bike. He'll be waiting for me when I get there. I make friends, veteran friends, accident, and they're gonna pick me up temporarily. Not able to stay with them for train Colorado until get used to the Payless oxygen. And that mission currently 8 seconds. Apparently, there's a non-free escort me my day, which is awesome. I don't know if it's going to be
Hey,
is officially.
can we get the name of that guy in that bike shop again? Because I mean, this is a pretty cool thing that he's doing for you, and I want to make sure that you know, credit goes where credit's due. Because that's a wonderful goodwill gesture that he's done for you. What's his name and the shop again?
His name is Lee, and the shop is Great Divide Hike and Bike in Pueblo, Colorado.
You heard it here, folks. Support the Great Divide Bike and Hike in Pueblo, Colorado. Pueblo.
It's like a Spanish. I'm like Italian. I don't know. I
Yeah,
got
no, I want to say you're doing it wrong.
No, go ahead.
You're doing it wrong.
Fine.
Yeah, no. But anyway, the Great Divide Hike and Bike in Pueblo, Colorado. Lee is going to receive your bike for you. He's the one to help you pick the pieces of your bike up, get it back to you. He's going to reassemble, get you going, get you test driven, get the rake and everything done for you, and then you're heading back and you're going to build up a couple of miles and get that party back going. So May 18th is your tentative ship out or arrival date. Before that, so we're less than 30 days out.
Yes.
Right. I'm not good with math, but since everything's on one hand, I can do it because I went to the Canadian education system. So before you leave, how can people support? I know you've partnered with Steve there, and you guys got some events coming. You got a ride coming up, right? Why don't you tell us about that, and then also about your ability to put 3 colors into one band, and like how people can support you and do good things through you. And then we're going to talk about how you're going to continue to do that.
Okay. Well, first of all, I guess I'll start with the motorcycle ride. Stephen here. Usually they put on charity motorcycle rides, for veterans. And this year they're putting on rides for individual veterans and me. 5 rides this year. So by ride, I'm referring to motorcycles. I know cycling, motorcycling, back and forth. This Saturday, there's going to be a motorcycle ride that we're together. It goes from Nashville, Tennessee to Cookeville, Tennessee. And it's actually finishing at the Traveling Vietnam Wall, which
how cool.
That same day. So it'll be really special. We can pay our respects at the end of it. It'll be amazing.
And Steve, you're the guy that put all this together?
Well, with her help, yeah. She contacted me at one point asking how she could raise funds to continue her journey. And I gave her some ideas, and about 15 minutes later, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to send her a message and tell her I'll come down and put a ride on for her. And she accepted, so here we are. I mean,
Days out.
What's that?
Days out. You guys
Yeah.
are getting ready to execute.
Yeah, normally we stay in our, in the Kansas City metro area. We really don't travel much outside of that. But to our friend,
I think we've lost audio again.
Yeah, well, I think that's a good example of working outside the block, outside the box. But yeah, no, I think audio is going in and out a little bit there.
Yeah.
Can you hear me
But
now?
yes,
We got you now. Yeah.
yes.
We missed
That's
the
a
last part of
trademark
what
saying,
Steve
don't
was.
they?
We missed the last part of what Steve was saying.
Yeah, Steve, can you repeat the last bit? You
uh,
you you made the decision to come down there, do the ride. Here we are. You normally
yeah,
stay in Kentucky,
yeah. Normally we stay in Kansas City area.
Kansas.
We normally don't go out of our, of our own backyard. There's enough veterans there alone that need help, and but this kind of worked out twofold for us. We got, a little help for her, and then we also have on my way down here, I got to drop off a power chair, electric wheelchair, Vietnam vet, as Asian can't go outside, so I can use the chair for him. So it was a twofold trip for me. It makes me feel good to be able to help. I never served in the military, and this is what I do.
Well, making that venture, from Kansas City to Nashville, I think it's going to work out for you because, every now and then, so there's great, amazing veterans all across this nation. It doesn't matter. You can go to any town USA and find an impressive veteran. Uh, but not every day is there a Sarah Lee. And not every day is there someone that's gonna be like, I think I enjoy riding a bike. Challenge myself. Oh, with major mountain ranges and a continental divide. No big deal. I got this. Let me put 90 pounds on my bike because that seems like a smart thing to do. It's no big deal. Look at my thighs. And here we go. And so May 18th, you're heading back out.
Yes, yes.
The
Oh,
goal
just
is
one
to
quick-
go to the Golden Gate Bridge. You're going to finish at the Golden Gate Bridge.
Yes.
About what time frame we looking at to be there? Like late August? I'm assuming early September.
The plan is to finish up by the end of August. I'm giving myself, I mean, it's not a race. I want it to feel like the complete polar opposite of, I have a lot of healing to do. I want to help veterans in the way as possible. Recently, that it's been tremendous Vietnam, especially. And they paved the way for our generation. That how we're seeing on how we're seeing and I just Vietnam.
We're getting some bad audio again. I think we're losing.
Yeah. I think it's we're like in 22 to 25-second bumps with her.
Yeah.
Outside of that, it drops.
Is it
So
back?
speaking bullet
It
for
sounds like it's back now. It
Yeah.
wanes off. You get choppy and then you just go quiet. We can see you talking. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, like speaking bullet format,
Okay.
concise short statements.
Yes. I'm giving myself 3 months. I'm stopping at as many VFWs as possible along the way, meeting with as many vets as I can along the way, doing as much healing as I can along the way. And by the time I cross the Golden Gate, I don't know if, my answers are waiting for me on the other side, but I know that I'm going to be a much better, stronger person, and I'll be able to, I guess you could say, pay it forward at that point and be there for my fellow vets more so than I have been. I have been isolating for a while. So, that's not why I'm here. I'm here to better people's lives.
Let me ask you something,
All right,
Sarah, real quick. When you started out on this journey originally from the East Coast, you kind of had this perception in mind of what you thought it was going to be like, what you were going to do, and what you were going to gain out of this experience. I know when you got all the way to Colorado, and it had to end there when you got run off the road. You I think and we talked with you right after that. You in reflection, it was probably somewhat like you thought it was going to be, but there's probably if I remember correctly, there was a lot more to it than you thought. You had different experiences, you met different people you probably didn't realize you were going to meet. So my question is, as you get ready to restart this, what is the new forethought, or what is the new perception you think you're going to have as you move into this second part of this? Now that you kind of went through it, you're kind of getting back on it. Do you have a better idea what you're going to do? Do you still think you're going along the same path?
As far as the execution, I think I figured a lot of that out pretty early on. As far as like patterns, like planning the day, stops, miles between towns, figuring out how much water I'll need, how much fuel I'll need, food-wise, of course. There's no motor, just my thighs. And I think as far as execution, not a lot will change. Of course, the different parts of the country will present different challenges. The Rockies are more of a marathon than the Appalachians were more of a sprint. The desert, the towns are much further apart. I'll have to plan out my water and food a lot more meticulously. I'm gonna stop at more VFWs. I'm just gonna take my time. I guess some of the things that surprised me so far were just how much healing is possible, how much you have to dig into your own mind, into your own soul at some points, just to get up some of these inclines or get through some of this heat. And it's amazing because it takes you to those depths or whatever, and then but there's some place for all that to go. When that stuff floods your mind, it's almost like you can leave it on the pavement behind you. You're outputting it instead of it overwhelming you. It's really, really something. I'm surprised. I'm bummed I didn't know about cycling before this. I literally just bought my bike in March and left last May. I trained for a month and a half and left. So I get why it's so therapeutic and it's so super challenging. So the execution will stay the same. I'm gonna to stop at probably more VFWs. I had to go through towns. I felt a little rushed last time, maybe just a little, because I was trying to beat the winter. This time I'm not gonna feel rushed. I'm gonna just take it all in, put as much of myself out there, and I guess that's pretty much.
So we're not being rushed. Do you think you're gonna, not that you had this blistering fast pace, but I know you did kind of try to make certain timelines. You think you're gonna try to maybe venture off course a little bit if you know that there's a VFW or there's some kind of event going on as you're coming up to? You may go a little bit off path and just kind to maybe slow it down a little bit just to see how much more impact you can have along the route?
Yes, absolutely. Especially if something's within 5 or 10 miles, or if someone's willing to come, scoop me up, something like that. And I do plan to make one major detour, and that's to see the Grand Canyon. I've never seen it in person. It's about 80 miles one way off route, south off the route. It dips down. I don't actually go into Arizona, but it dips down briefly. And so I'm going to do that. I have something special planned that I'll probably post about it later. Something just in memoriam to a friend I lost overseas. That's something I just really need and want to do.
All right. So something I me, my brain, doesn't work very often, but when it does, it's just pure excellence.
It's beautiful.
I think, and Troy, and listening audience, if you're in the listening audience right now, I think you know who I'm talking to. I think we should help Sarah start have a drink/meal with me fund. So when she's going to these VFWs, I don't know if you remember this, but a couple months back, she did a video where she came up on some guys on the side of the road. It was just a beautiful thing. I showed it to my daughter. I was like, check this out. This is like pretty cool. And I think we should, let's try and build a slush fund. And so that when she goes to these VFWs and stuff like that, some of these guys that like, need that new person to talk to,
Yes.
need that opportunity, like here's 250, for a beer to help, them, talk to her or something like that, or buy a meal or something like that. What do you
That is
think about that?
amazing. That is amazing because that actually means so much, because that happened a lot along the way, and I could have taken advantage of that more if I had that. And the way that the vets were opening up to me and vice versa was really special. I hadn't run into that before. Maybe it's because I was the new face, or maybe it's because they knew they wouldn't see me again, but who knows? But they didn't mind me mentioning them or telling their story. The things that I heard or was told, I mean, the opportunity, having that opportunity would be amazing. And also for the acts of kindness, because that's like my whole thing. You leave people better than you find them. And the ripple effect, it happens. And the having those opportunities would be amazing. That would mean everything.
Well, I tell you what, yeah, you heard it here first. um, Warrior Media Solutions pledges $250 to start the slush fund for you to buy beer for those deserving guys and gals at the VFW that you go to. And if anyone wants to match me on that, I would love it. I will start a small little email campaign in the AMs to remind people that I did. But like Warrior Media Solutions pledges $250 to start your Have a Beer with Sarah, Have a Meal with Sarah slush fund, because one, you doing the trip is one thing, and the costs associated with doing the trip. And you're a wonderful steward to the fund. That's one of the reasons why we're behind you, is because we know that we saw your fiscal responsibility, your fiduciary practices. That was a $2 word
Dude,
there, Troy.
that was I'm surprised, man. That was good for
Yeah,
Canadian.
no, Canada, man. You got to check the country out every now and then. Like, they throw down education like you wouldn't believe it. Not only do good hip checks and cross checks in hockey, education. It's like it's in that place. But the I I think it's important to do this. I think this is a wonderful thing, because some of the best parts of what you shared with me weren't the accomplishments. Weren't I remember, you had the bracelet campaign going forward, and you made that one summit, and you had that beautiful post, and I was like, I felt like I was there with you. I felt like I was celebrating that with you. And then you told me a different story, and I was like, man, like, you're not even going to tell anybody that story, and that's far more impressive. Like the red, white, and blue guys and gals out of nowhere in Colorado that wrapped their arms around you, that church in the middle of like the flyover states that wrapped their arms around you. That's the stuff that doesn't, it's hard to tell that story. And you're doing this other stuff, and that's why I think it's important, the impact that you would make. Buying a beer doesn't seem like a big deal.
It is.
You're riding across America. You're accomplishing this monumental feat. So it seems like kind of asinine to even say like, hey, you should go buy somebody a beer. I think you should. And I think that's where the healing happens. That's where that fellowship happens. That's where the thing. So if you're still listening, my friends that are in the chat room, you know who you are. Meet me at $250, and let's put some dollars in, not just for the trip, but specifically
For the outreach.
to like
It's for the outreach.
outreach.
Yeah.
Steven, you got something?
Yeah, Toby, I'll above what we're going to do already. That's here, either here or there. Whatever.
I lost him.
Yeah, we lost your net part.
You got to repeat it.
All right, no problem. we're gonna above and beyond what we raise on top of on Saturday. We'll match the 250 that you already put forth. So we'll put 250 out there also.
Boom, there you have it.
That's-
I already cannot wait to post the encounters that this is gonna.
Yes. Because the one that Toby talked about, that's all I could think of too. When I formed my question to you about what you're going to do in the second phase and what you expect, it was that experience that you wrote about. You had the one you kind of you were at a couple of mountaintops, you crossed some ranges, and you wrote some posts there. But it was that one where you took a picture with those guys and you talked about it that to me stands out probably the most. Besides the unfortunate wreck you had and getting run off, but from the positive standpoint, that was the one that stood out the most to me also. And I think this really facilitates that. And kudos to you, Toby, and Steve, and anyone else that puts in, because that is it's that kind of stuff that, as small as it may seem, and like I say, maybe it's someone that's in that VFW or at an American Legion or wherever else that is hasn't had a hot meal in a while. Maybe maybe it's just taking them to a local diner, and man, we've all seen it. Sometimes you just got to show that compassion and a listening ear. And who knows what demon someone can release or what's been burdening them can come out.
No, you never know who has decided that that's going to be their last day. I always approach people. You don't know what war they're fighting. They don't have to have physically been in combat to be fighting a war. They could be totally different wars, similar scars. It's not about comparing. It's about relating. And
great word.
Just like reading people and letting them talk and being compassionate or not showing. You can kind of tell what they're looking for when they're not looking. And I think I know which story you're referring to. Is it by any chance the veteran I met at that school? I typed up and sent you.
Now,
Or I typed you up a little story about a veteran I met at a saloon, Vietnam veteran. And I actually, after this, I'm going to go ahead and post that story just so people
do it.
A gist of some of these encounters. I hadn't posted them. He already gave me permission, but I just didn't know how private. Some people are very private. I am included in it. So, like, being vocal about all this is not my comfort zone, but you gotta put yourself out there. You never know what you're dealing with. Someone says something. So I'm gonna post that story with that encounter of that so people do have an idea of these encounters I'm having and what that one will provide.
I tell you, you just said something that was so beautiful, and the reason I'm going to draw attention to it is because I fail at this daily. People that know my background, they know my role in the nonprofit world. They know what I do, and man, I look at people's rucksack all the time. And what you just said, it's not about comparing, it's about relating. And I like that. I need to remember that. I need to remember that I need to not try and be like, oh, well, this person, like, they don't, like, they didn't get shot at like I got shot at. They didn't see people die like I saw people die. They didn't see, like, like in the veteran community, too often do we measure each other's rucksack and be like, well, mine was heavier. Yeah, like I had more gear in mine. Like too often do we do that, and we don't relate. And instead of like measuring appendages and like trying to compare, like, well, my war was harder than yours. Your tour, like, oh, what, you were. I remember telling my guys, like, because I remember them making fun of the guy doing head count at the chow hall, and I remember like correcting my guys, going, hey man, like you got plate carriers, you got combat load plus, you have amazing training, you got great optics. When we go out, if anyone wants to fight us, like head to head, we're winning every time. And if you miss a round, like, I want to threaten UCMJ. But here's a guy that gets up every morning, takes one magazine and goes and sits in the most targeted location on any fob at peak hours. Like, that takes courage too, like, just to show up to work and know that I'm going to sit in this chow hall that 120s are going to rain down on here at any moment. And I can't shoot back. I can't fight back. I can't do anything. I just got to wait for the inevitable, and I got to look like I'm happy, you know. And it's like what you just said. Like, let's not compare. Let's look at relation, and let's relate, and let's. That's such a beautiful statement. Thank you for sharing that. Because like I need to apply that to me. Like that's a check Toby moment, and I appreciate you there because that's real.
Yeah.
Real hashtag real talk.
But yeah, no, you never know, and you know, we're kind of all we have in a lot of ways, and I think that the bond that just by signing those papers, willing to die for our country, for each other, it transcends generation, it transcends MOS or number of deployments. It's it's a bond that can't be broken. Nothing really compares to it.
Yeah, it's a I think it's a byproduct of, from the moment that we step into basic training, right? It's all about competitiveness, and it definitely happens through the unit. Platoons compete, squads compete, I used to say all the time when I was active, I used to say, man, I want to go. And I did this at one unit I went to for the first couple of days. I walked into an infantry unit with nothing on my uniform, and I wanted to see how they responded to me. And I always talked about, I want to see what that's like. So I walked in as an infantry NCO with at the time, even though I had a CIB and an EIB already, I didn't have any CIB, no airborne wings, no nothing. And I wanted to see for the first couple of days how they responded to me. And everyone treated me nice, hey, new sergeant, whatever. And then like on day 3 or 4, I don't remember, then I showed up with all my stuff sewed on. And I just kind of did my own personal like social experiment to see how people treated me differently. And the reason is because I knew a platoon sergeant one time that, was this Puerto Rican guy. He was my very first unit. He was a medic platoon sergeant. I mean, he wouldn't do PT, always did profile PT, was older, had a real heavy accent, cussed everyone out. And he just kind of looked like this big dirtbag guy until we had a Class A inspection one time and saw that this dude went into Grenada and had done a lot of stuff and was racked and stacked, and found out later, right, because we judged a book by its cover, the reason why he couldn't do run PT and why he had a profile against doing about faces is because he was so shot up and had his profile was legit. But it was, and after that kind of always stuck, and I was an E3, it stuck with me as like, wow, how much we judge each other. And even in today's Army, I mean, if you think back to the 90s and 80s, we would judge someone if they had a combat patch. It was like, whoa, that dude's got a combat patch. In today's Army,
it's a little light if they didn't have one,
Today, if you see someone, if you see a slick sleeve today, right? If you see someone without a patch today, especially of senior rank, without a combat patch, can anyone? You're just kind of looking at him, going, "Where's that guy been or girl been? Like,
where's he been hiding?
Right?
How do you get out of that many deployments?"
But it's that competitiveness that drives us for that. So I agree with Toby. That was such a great thing to say because it's not about your war story, especially if you're there to listen and lend an ear. To let someone tell we all have our own experiences. And Toby, yours of the mess hall guy, the head count was perfect too. Take a moment and listen. Maybe they were shoveling shit in Vietnam, or maybe they were freaking deep behind enemy lines in Grenada. Who knows? It doesn't matter, because like you said, we've shared it. We've shared the stresses, the anxieties, and the fears, and that's what people want to get out of themselves. That's where the demons are made up of, and that's all they're asking for. And a counselor or a doctor with a PhD that has never walked that ground will never, ever be able to relate, regardless of how much schooling and how much they paid for it.
You know how they say, like, measure twice, cut once? It's kind of like that with conversation. You have 2 ears and 1 mouth, and a lot of people listen to respond. They don't listen to like absorb. And I just think that the more you take in, the more you're capable of putting out. You can learn a lot.
Man, she's just laying it down tonight.
She's on in fuego. In fuego.
She's gonna be scraping this video for like her speakers reel here in 2 years.
No, we can learn a lot from each other, is all,
But like I think
we are.
It's something that's cool. It's coming out. I just got a text message, with some points of contact that I'm gonna pass on to her off the air. for, state commanders of different VFWs on our way, like how cool is that? All these different things coming together. But let's fast forward, because something I'm excited for you to talk about. I kind of hinted towards it because you've shared a little bit with us behind the scenes about what your long-term plan is. A lot of people think like you're gonna ride across the Golden Gate Bridge, you're gonna throw your hands in the air,
Throw my bike off the bridge. And
yeah, you're like you just don't care, and
yeah.
the but in reality, that's the starting point. Like for a lot of people, they think like that's the point of culmination. They think that's the climax. They think that's the end point. That's the point of termination. But like this ride is really just a sensing round, isn't it? This ride is just your opportunity to figure out, or what you've kind of been figuring out, how you really want to put rounds on target. And so why don't you tell us about how you think and how you plan on putting rounds on target now going forward as we come across this Golden Gate Bridge?
So, well, my shot group basically is, well, I guess people ask me when I first left, are you scared or what's scared of? And honestly, my greatest fear was finishing, because then what? Square one. I just didn't know, and I really want to make a difference for other veterans. So much of this trip is about personal, because you're really no use to anyone if you're not good to go. So I'm learning a lot about myself and my capabilities on this trip, veterans. So when I crossed that Golden Gate, I asked myself, then making my mind, and I decided, why not contribute to this, start with veteran outreach that veterans opportunities of being engaged in detaching on a scale, and that what I'm doing, I realize like actually, especially
I think we lost her. I think we're losing your audio again.
Yep.
Okay.
Take a breath. Take a breath.
It's
Come up
Skype.
for air.
It's Skype telling you
misspelled
to.
drink.
Oh, I'd never misspell that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Man, look at
Okay,
you
am
with
I back?
the bigger Yeti. Man, see, here we are measuring Yetis. I'm like,
we got a
like,
Yeti measuring
with a little
contest.
tumbler. Yeah, and you're like, all right.
I know, right? Catch up, will you?
Go 30
Whoa.
ounce. Go
Whoa.
30 ounce or go home.
Steve's got to refill that. While you speak, Steve needs to refresh that for you.
All right, I'll be the drink bitch.
Thank you. Your damn language. This is a children's show. This is supposed to be kid friendly.
It's not.
No,
I
not
haven't
at all.
sworn once. It's been very difficult. No, but basically I'm gonna go ahead and start a veteran outreach. Basically, I'm gonna be taking veterans all outings, nature-based outings, attached, weekend, hiking, fishing, camping, kayaking, cycling. And I know there's a lot of programs that exist like this, way more better. And I didn't even, until I mentioned it, I didn't even know that it existed because I was isolated. I didn't seek out.
All right. Sarah's got an upper internet plan. I think she's got to get off that AOL dial-up.
Yeah, she's like, you've got mail.
Okay. Yeah, it's like when you pause and go silent, then I don't know if it's a mic issue or an internet issue or what, but
My computer hates my voice. It has to listen to it all day.
Mm.
My computer turns its own mic off. It's like you're cut off.
It's like you're done. It's 9:00 at night. Finish.
It's like the award show music starts playing in the background.
Your computer's playing you off. It's playing you off stage.
No, I'm really excited for you because, I've never doubted anything about from the very first conversation when Steve introduced us. I never doubted you on anything that you've ever done. You've done some wonderful stuff. I mean, man, you just among other things that you did, you just designed my daughter's like softball team's jerseys. Check this out. The like Sarah Lee. Oh, that's the wrong end. You know, a little Sarah Lee design. Like, you know, you're always doing stuff. You're always accomplishing things, and I've never doubted you for a second. And one of the things, like I remember, you made a comment. You were in the Prairie States, and I think you just got some questionable beef jerky. All right.
That was so good. Are you kidding me? Troy's meat's the best.
I'm sorry. You might have cut out there. Can you say that one more time?
You might have got some.
Troy's meat is the best.
Yes, Troy's meat's the best.
Meat jerky.
I haven't tasted Toby's, so I got no frame of reference.
It's
Well,
a kid's show.
mine's Axis.
It's a kid's show.
Mine's a higher level of game, so mine's exotic because it's Barasinga, Axis, maybe like some scimitar horned oryx, so like I got the exotic meat. But anyway,
How do you even?
you made some comments. Yeah, how do I keep a straight face when I do it? Because I know my meat's the best.
Yeah.
It's lean.
Yeah, we'll keep it at that. I got to give big props to Steve for a second ago. He came in with that drink, and Sarah just put her hand up, and it was like they had coordinated and rehearsed it. She just went like that,
We practiced.
and it went right in. And she's like, "I got it." I mean, that was game. That was
It's like
good.
semi-pro.
We just hit it off. Like we spent. I mean, within 5 minutes of him getting here, last time he visited, it was just. It's like we'd know each other our whole. It was
No,
we really.
he just filled that lip. I like that. He just packed that lip some more.
Awesome.
No, America.
Toby, next year you'll have to come ride with us.
Hey,
Yes,
you know, like
Every year from here on out.
they're going to throw this ride every year to continue to support the veteran outreach. By the way, I'm calling it Waypoint Vets. Waypoint. So
Waypoint.
if I keep cutting out, I mean, I can just post about it.
Yeah. Please, well, always post about it. No, like I'd love to come up there. Unfortunately, this weekend is a tough weekend for me to do it, and the reason why is a really good friend of the show, a guy that's a father figure to me. His name is Robert Stokely. His son, Sergeant Michael Stokely, gave his life August 15th, 2005 in Yusufia, Iraq. He is being interned in Arlington this weekend. And so I apologize, but
No.
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 That's amazing you're going to be there for that.
I'm doing everything I can to make it happen right now. That guy's like a father figure to me. Myself and a guy by the name of Jim Reese that was on the show a couple weeks ago, we smuggled him into Iraq, so to speak. To see where that went down, and so it's pretty exciting that the family's getting this level of closure, and he's getting the honor that he so rightfully deserves. But I love riding motorcycles. More importantly, I love riding my motorcycles. So
I had my first ride today.
so I might have to load them up and one of them up in the back of my truck or something, and ball up there and participate ride, because I'm all about the rides. I love it.
Next
Next
year.
Yep, definitely.
He's
next
gonna
year.
hold. Yeah, he's gonna hold one every year now for me here in Nashville. So, and
Yeah.
obviously you can stay with me, duh.
It gives me an
So-
excuse to come to Nashville twice a year.
And who doesn't love
Yeah.
coming to Nashville?
I heard it's
He's
a
gonna
cool
get
town.
sick of me. I'm a handful.
I heard it's a cool town, so I definitely want to check it out. But hey, so we're really excited about Waypoint. We're excited to learn more about it. Everybody that wants to learn more about Sarah, you got to go check out her blog. She's written some amazing stuff. It's brilliant. It's very insightful. You can find it at aviciouscycle.org, O-R-G, aviciouscycle.org. You can follow her on Facebook and the Twitter as well as the Instagrams at A Vicious Cycle. And you'll know it's her because the hot blonde will be there with the clock inside the wheel.
Me?
Inside the wheel. That's her logo. Check it out. She makes the bracelets.
Yes.
She does paracord bracelets.
I actually funded the bulk of my journey before by hand making like 300 to 400 of these. I do hand make them all. I seal them with the very first knife I've ever owned. I was 17, my first knife. I sealed them. I'm a sentimental person. Like this. Don't tell anybody. Wait, this is live. Okay. Oh.
Yeah. So no, like go check her out. Check out the bracelets. Like she said, I mean, you funded the majority of the first leg of this off of the bracelet sales. Buy some bracelets. If you want to help her, buy a beer for someone in a VFW, I will figure out the logistics of how we're going to accept that money here following the show. But Warrior Media's down for $250. Steve's down for $250. We're half a K into doing it. We're going to set up a little email campaign so that before she leaves, she will have access to those funds before she leaves on the 18th of May, before she gets to Colorado, where she's going to go to the Great Divide Bike and Hike Shop, and she's going to see Lee, who's going to outfit her bike and get her going again. Troy, do you have any final words of wisdom, questions?
No, we just we're excited to watch Sarah restart and pick up where she left off. Follow her journey. We'll be watching the blog, watching for the pictures and stories, and I'm sure we're going to be having you back on once you reach the Golden Gate. And once you get out there. But we're excited to follow along with you and have our listeners and fans also do that. And wish you the best of luck. You'll be in our prayers for sure for a great journey.
Yeah. Don't forget Carrie Gerber.
Yeah.
Yes, I still have my Gerber. Thank you.
Carry the Gerber.
I almost needed that. I was hoping I wouldn't need it.
Yeah,
almost needed
show
it.
how Sanka feel, man.
I got snuck up on once. It came in handy.
Liver, spleen.
Didn't have to use it, but
and then come down top. Get it. Gotta give it a little crank.
Like up to the bottom of the chin is.
Ooh. Yeah, no, that's.
To be creative.
It's a way. Yeah. It's a way. I don't know if it's the way, but it's a way. The reason I started twisting it reminded me of Tim Kennedy, man. That was one of the very first knife fighting techniques Tim Kennedy taught me was how to
just a little.
Yeah, you gotta work it a little bit. But speaking of TK,
juicing an orange.
Like juicing an orange. Yeah, but hold on tighter.
Yes.
That's the same with blood.
So speaking of Tim Kennedy, Tim's got a new show coming out on Discovery.
Yep.
Hard to Kill. Tim Kennedy, Try to Kill Things or something like that. What is it? Hard to kill.
Hard to Kill with Tim Kennedy, I think. Yeah, it's
yeah. It's 3 weeks out. We'll correct the title. He's probably watching us in Africa right now, getting pissed off. I'm about to get a text. See my show right.
Yeah, but we are excited because he does a lot of phenomenal things in this show, and we're very, very excited to see this one kick off and see some of the huge challenges that he does. It's far and above and beyond a merit badge, I can tell you that.
And right now he's actually being hard to kill over, working as a special forces operator. So his money's where his mouth is, and good job for him. He was launching some star clusters this morning, some other stuff. But it's going to be exciting to watch that show and see what he has and what the producers think is actually dangerous in comparison to him.
Yeah.
I don't think they know him that well.
No.
So it should be good. But Sarah, always an honor, a pleasure to have you on. You are the best. If you're in the Nashville area and you need an amazing photographer before the 18th of May, Sarah Lee Photography. She also does amazing graphic artwork. Buy the bracelets, support it, and then look forward to the Stu and the Nun Buy a Beer with Sarah campaign that we're going to be doing here. Steve, we want to have you back on by yourself to talk to you about what you got going on. I really like what you're doing. A Ride for the Wounded sounds like a very worthy and cause. We deeply appreciate the support that you're giving Sarah.
Yep.
The way you guys have like wrapped your arms around it. I heard you guys gave her own cut.
On the air.
So like that's super
Yeah.
cool,
It's
except
a
the name.
A rideforthewounded.org. And he made me my own vest here.
Yeah.
Official charter member.
Yeah, and you gave her own road name that it's a little suspect.
I
But
wanted to give her petals, but she
Right.
Like a
Right.
flower. Do
I
I
mean-
strike you as a flower? Like
You do.
I was
yeah,
thinking
yeah,
petals,
yeah, like petals,
trash.
petals and
Yeah.
Bam Bam on a
Roses
Friday
have
night.
thorns. I'm only a rose because of my thorns.
I think it should have been petals. I know she's like, I want the Star Wars one, but no, like,
X-Men.
What-
Oh,
I'd
yeah,
love to
you
come
need
back
a little,
on
you
with
need
you
to
guys.
put a little something in your hair to make it more X-Men. But
I'd love to come back with you guys. I've got a lot of stuff that we're doing. I've got a lot of great help, and we're really branching out into doing the power chairs for veterans and all that
tank
stuff.
chairs.
The tank chairs.
We have a tank chair.
oh, Action Track.
Beast.
No, actually, the original guy that made it, Brad Soden, I've got the original chair that Bill O'Reilly bought 1,000 of, and I've got the original tank.
Oh man, like dude,
It's a tank.
we use the chairs, primarily Action Track. That's who we've had the most
That's who I
exposure
love,
with Veteran Outdoors all the time, and they're a wonderful thing. I love them. I love what they allow guys and gals to be able to do. Try not to mob it too much, and because like that's what I do every time I'm around one. I'm like, what? I try to mob it, but Steve, we're definitely having you back on.
Yeah.
We'll get all your information from Sarah because we'd love to have you on the show and learn more about what y'all are doing.
Yeah.
Great,
Troy, I think we're running out of time. We're pushing the envelope.
Yeah, we're getting down, winding down. I just want to give a big shout out and tell and keep our good buddy Tim Payne in your prayers. He just flew down to Brazil. The U.S. Army has flown Tim down to Brazil to speak to the Brazilian Army's chaplaincy corps. So quite a recognition for
Yeah.
Tim and the motivational speaking and positive speaking he does. But he's down in Brazil speaking to the Brazilian Army, which is pretty awesome for a guy like him. So. Yeah, Sarah, great having. What's that?
Especially since he doesn't like to fly.
Especially didn't like to fly, because they always break his wheelchair. Yeah, that's right.
Always break his wheelchair.
And that's just after he just came back from out west, where he spoke at the Sergeant Major's Academy. He ran or did the bike, the hand bike, the LA Marathon, and then went up to Mighty Oaks Warrior Foundation and spent some time up there. The guy's all over the place. So. But it's that's why we do this show. People like Sarah, people like Tim, Rusty Bradley, and so many others we get to talk to and hang out with. You guys make this worthwhile. Want to thank you and Steve, another new friend we've made tonight. Looking forward to having you on, and thank all of you and thank all of our listeners for tuning in with us on this Tuesday night. Really appreciate it. So.
I appreciate you both. Thank you so much.
Thank
No
you
problem.
guys.
Thank you
Yep.
for having me again.
And you never know, Sarah. You may get some more of that awesome Troy's meat venison jerky coming your way. No promises. We'll see. But
Any day. Bring it on.
that's best advertisement I could ever get. But all right, everybody. Everyone have a great night. Thank you so much for tuning in. Follow Sarah. Keep up with her. And again, we'll see you guys next Tuesday evening, 8 o'clock Eastern, here on Stu and the Nun.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Stu and the Nun Radio. We hope you enjoyed your time with us because we have enjoyed sharing our time with you. Be sure to check out stewandthenun.com in addition to asking us questions and interacting with us on our Facebook page and Twitter. We look forward to seeing you next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern here on Spreaker and Facebook Live. Also, we'd like to thank our sponsors, Warrior Media Solutions, BlueHammer.com, Veteran Outdoors, Graybeard Publishing, and Mighty Oaks Warrior Foundation. Don't forget to like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter. Thank you again, and have a good night.